One of the very reasons why people elected William Samoei Ruto, rather, why some people voted for William Samoei Ruto, because he had promised to turn around our economy. Apart from that, William Ruto said he was God sent. One of the things that William Ruto talked about was baptized as bottom up economy. Now, I don't want to explain so much about bottom up because one thing I remember is that he said this was an economic model that was going to consider the very people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. 2 years down the line, has the bottom up economy impacted in your life? Yes, to many it has impacted, but very negatively. Now, I want us to go straight to the gist of this analysis. A few days ago, William Ruto reported that they want to hire consultants. And let us read Ruto's office to hire consultants for bottom-up agenda implementation. And it says very briefly that the office of the president is seeking to hire a team of senior consultants on an as and when required basis to help realize the government's ambitious bottom-up agenda. In an executive order, Statehouse controller said the consultants will be needed to inject transformative advisories to bolster the agenda, which has since inception in 2022 failed to materialize, targeting to improve the livelihoods of Kenyans living below the economic health. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was shocked that they're seeking for some members, consultants to help them achieve their dream. Now, before I go further, I want to go back to a publication that was made on 10th May. This was about 4 months ago. It said taxpayers to foot 1.1 billion Kenya shillings for President Ruto's top advisors. And because I want to marry these 2 points, the cost of maintaining a coterie of President William Ruto's advisors will cross the 1 billion mark, underlining the burden of hiring consultants in government. Budget documents tabled in Parliament show that the 6 advisory units will spend 1.14 billion in the year starting July, up from 975 million in the current financial year. The high-profile advisors include Dr. David Ndii, Mr. Henry Rotich, Dr. Monica Juma will splurge the bulk of the hundreds of millions on salaries, travel and entertainment. And they say this emerges in an era where the state is racing to cut unnecessary expenditure, such as trips abroad by officials and hospitality spending to rein in a gaping fiscal deficit. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us very quickly to look at that table there. The table is President Ruto's planned spending on advisors. Now, the first column is office, the second one is the office holder, the far end is amount. Now, the economic advisors are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but want us to, about 6 or 7. I want us to concentrate on the ones that are involved with economy. Economic transformation is Augustine Cheriot. He will be gobbling 239.4 million Kenya shillings. The Council of Economic Advisors, that is David Ndii, in this office, will be gobbling 194.5 million. There's Women Rights Advisor, National Security Advisor. I want to skip them, but you can see the amount there. We have Fiscal Affairs and Budget Policy, Henry Rotich. You remember the man of the Kimarer and Aror? He will be taking 100 million. And of course, I think those are the 3. I wanted to paint for you a picture, ladies and gentlemen, how expensive this is when they say they still want to hire. I thought that they had a plan. They knew what they wanted to do. Now, the bottom-up economy has become a shadow of its former self. The reason why I'm concerned and the reason why I made this analysis is because William Ruto is telling us that he wants to hire people. But the ones that are already there are gobbling money, yet we can't see any positive results. If this is the team that is behind the Finance Bill 2023 and Finance Bill 2024, if this is the team that is behind abandoning all the subsidies, the team behind increasing all the taxes, then ladies and gentlemen, these people are doing us an injustice. And I want you to listen to Dr. Martin Olo, deconstructing or rather poking holes into this economic agenda and telling William Ruto that we did look at this model holistically. We selectively thought that by looking at one area, for example, providing subsidized fertilizer, that was all. Can you listen to Dr. Martin Olo?
You see, Eric, is one thing to campaign, is another thing to make promises, and it's totally another thing to keep those promises. When the president was campaigning, he made us feel that he had all solutions and that all our problems were because of Uhuru and Raila. He has had the country to himself for now almost 4 or 5 months. He must realize, or he has realized, that actually it is not that rocket science. It is not that simple. Now he's telling us, please give me time. He promised us that the moment he puts down the Bible, cost of living will come down. Now he's telling us to take time. Now, even that, I think the point that I really would like to hammer is that even his approach to how the cost of living will come down is fairly simplistic and incorrect. You can't say that because we are looking for, we are facing a new season, that we shall plant subsidized fertilizer, and once we've subsidized fertilizer, our farmers will grow food, and once this food, the cost of living will come down. That is not true. It's not true, because what the ingredients that go into cost of living are many, including some of the things that he's fighting around, like subsidies on fuel, subsidies on electricity, subsidies on education, and so on. So cost of living comes down because a government steps into an economic situation and ameliorates or mitigates certain circumstances for its people. Not that the government gives fertilizer and gives seeds and there is a bumper harvest. Even the transportation for that harvest to the buying points becomes an issue. You know how cabbages rot in Kinangop. You know how maize farmers occasionally have issues when they have had a bumper harvest and their the returns are that minimal. So there is more to an economy, and it's a complex and sophisticated thing than to simply promise us that it's going to come down. Again, that is yet another untruth.
It was not only Daktari. Many experts tried to weigh into this discussion, and you will realize that instead of hiring more people, William Ruto just needs to change the way of doing things and look at the economy in a manner that does not, look at just one side. Can you listen to this Kenyan also talking about the same?
I've listened to Chair responding to your question, and I've listened to my senior senator responding. Sam, I want to demonstrate to you why I said the attempt by the NADCO on the issue of cost of living has zero impact. Yesterday morning, I decided to buy electricity token of 700 shillings. And it is here. I can share with you. It's not a secret. It bought 15.49 units. The only amount which bought units was out of 700, 189.68. 510 went to other charges, taxes. My brother. This is what we need to be talking about. No, not
exactly.
These stories. I mean, You cannot develop an economy, yeah, when the driver of that economy, which is electricity, is unmanageable. You cannot be telling us you want to construct houses. When we get into that houses, we will stay in darkness because we can't afford electricity. That's what we are talking about here. That we need tangible. You know, why do we have enough rains? In fact, some of the dams have busted as of yesterday. And electricity is increasing because 700 shillings 2 weeks ago, 700 shillings, I bought 21 units. Yesterday, I bought 15 units. There's something wrong. And this is what is wrong. Let me explain to you what is wrong.
Give me the full bill. So
yes.
700 shillings paid,
700 shillings paid.
Yeah.
The units, 15.49. Amount, which is called token amount, 189.68. Other charges, which are taxes, 510.32.
It's crazy.
That tells you.
How do you change a country like this?
I have
Let me just complete my statement.
Yep.
This explains to you. So, you know, I was here last week and I was explaining to you why Kenya Kwanza will have a problem. You increase taxes in every sector. You tax everybody. Okay? Businesses collapse. So you constrain the spread of taxes. Eldoret Airport, and I need anyone to challenge me on this. Eldoret Airport, in 4 months ago, in May, June, every week it was collecting 70 million from taxes from goods from Abu Dhabi. Last week, it hardly did 28.
What happened?
Because of over-taxation and changing the taxation regime
And the
duties, the goods are now going to Ndii and Dar es Salaam. Now, how will you get your targets? That explains to you why even after increasing taxes in every sector and to everyone, KRA had a shortage of 98 billion.
They are not hitting their target.
They are not hitting their target.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you and I know that the economy is collapsing. Everything that William Ruto initiated is collapsing. If you look at the SHE, it is collapsing. The health, care is collapsing. If you look at the economic model, it is collapsing. If you look at the university funding model, it is collapsing. There is nothing that is working for us. No wonder all these projects ended up in court. Were it not for Ruto's influence in the courts, I think all of them would have been thwarted thanks to his dictatorial nature. Now, I want us to look at what are some of these things that William Ruto must shun, because you and I know that things are not right. Number one is the fact that William Ruto is building an economy based on the advice from external forces like the IMF, World Bank, and USA. When these people advise William Ruto, they don't have us at heart. When they tell William Ruto that you should avoid any subsidy and increase taxes, nani anaumia? Ni Mkenya wa kawaida. So if William Ruto would only but listen to Kenyans and stop listening to outsiders, we would be very far, and this model would have worked. On theory, it could work, but when you now start practicing it, it cannot. So he should stop listening to the external forces. Number two, corruption. We cannot have an economy that is geared towards building the pockets of a few people. You remember in the G2G oil deal, when we were told that a few people pocketed money? We cannot build an economy pretending that we want to help Kenyans, yet we are sure this is an economy that is benefiting a few individuals. And number three, he must listen to other experts. Kenya does not belong to the political class alone. It doesn't mean that when you win an election, now you've got the monopoly of knowledge. You should be listening to other factors and stop politicizing economy. Stop thinking that when you get any advice from other people, then they will take the political mileage. By the end of the day, your office or the office of the president is a symbol of national unity. Once you have been elected, you look for professionals. Stop thinking that when you build an economy with others, then they will take the political mileage. You look for professionals rather than politicians. If you look at his cabinet, it is full of politicians. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling that William Ruto rose to power with this urge to take a paradigm shift from Uhuru's projects and policies, just to show him that I'm the president and I can now do it on my own, which is not working. Things like the healthcare, the NHIF was working. Why don't we just copy paste and let it work? I mean, it is wrong to try and outsmart Uhuru, yet things are not working. The university funding model, let us go back to factory settings if it is not working. And finally, this idea of trying to lease our nation, Adani is getting into our healthcare, Adani is getting into the energy sector, Adani is taking over our airports. We want to sell our state corporations. We want to be, are we trying to give our country? Are we being colonized? Ladies and gentlemen, the economy and Kenya is collapsing. If you look at the security sector, of course, we saw there that there is security advice. Monica Juma was something. People are being abducted. Is that the kind of advice she's giving in terms of security? Really, ladies and gentlemen, we really need to rethink. And Kenyans must demand accountability. 1.1 billion, we are not even talking of millions, billions, to maintain these offices that they advise the president. Yet we don't feel the advice. We need to get back our country. We need to ensure that we pressurize the government, because democracy demands that we are governed the way we want, not the way others want. I don't know what to think, but when I read that they want to, hire more consultants, it will not work, because there is a policy at the top: corruption, wastage, listening to the international community, I don't know, benefiting a few individuals. And if that is still the policy, we are doomed.